Morning, guys. Welcome to Words from a Friend podcast. I'm your host, Marty Carey, and this is the podcast that follows my book, Words from a Friend, a daily guide to a purposeful life. It's available at Amazon.com and Barnes and Noble.com. We're on a 365-day inner journey together, so happy and grateful to have you along. We're on day 233 of that journey. Today's message is a great one. Space, the final frontier, right? Well, it is the final frontier, isn't it? We go back to spaciousness. When we leave this body, we go back to complete spaciousness, knowing who we are in totality, knowing that we are the light that created us, and we know everybody else is also that same light. So this is the knowing. This is what we're experiencing now in ourselves. Is spaciousness and consciousness are the same thing. Spaciousness and consciousness. We look for the bigger picture. Not the tiny little, stuff that our ego wants to get involved in every single day. The small self, the small voice, the smallest part of ourselves. This is the part that thinks that's all there is. The ego self, the conditioned earthly self. Nothing really outside of that, but what has been created thus far through people and experiences in earthly stuff, but no reflection or recognition of where you come from or divinity within, maybe not knowing anything about that. Not knowing anything about that, you don't even really think about it. It's just going about living your life in your ego and your same stuff every day. It's like the Groundhog Day, without ever thinking, is there more? Not is there so much, is there more out there? Is there more in here? Is there other things that I want to do? Is there other things that I want to experience before, I'm going back to spaciousness? Well, the things that we are here to do is remember that we're spaciousness itself while we're here. And when we give ourselves that spaciousness while we're here, we want to do those other things, and we are willing to figure out how we're going to be able to do that more. Give ourselves the more that's in here, that's in our heart, that's screaming to get out or screaming to express itself in some way, even if it's just through experience of, whatever. I always wanted to go to Sequoia Park and Yosemite and all that stuff. Yeah, of course. Absolutely. But how would I ever do it? I have this, I have that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. So that's when you have to come back to your creative self. And where does your creativity live? It doesn't live, it lives in the spaciousness of the soul, because the soul is the true artist of who we all are. And that soul, you can draw from that soul. Just your total expression comes from that. Your total, true, eternal expression comes from there, which is where your talents come from and all the gifts that God has given you. It's just a treasure trove in there. Treasure trove. You are a treasure trove. Okay? And spaciousness will show you all of that. And that's the inner journey. Uncluttering old stuff, old beliefs, old habits, and old ways. When you've been knocking at another door inside is knocking at you saying, don't you want to open this door? Don't you want to open and see what's in here and express yourself in that way that you've been kind of thinking about? It's funny. My wife, Jan, God bless her, she's doing something completely out of the box. Not out of the box for who she is, of course, but out of the box in kind of today's world. She just started her own little Amazon shopping thing that they're doing online now. I don't completely understand it, but she's like an Amazon ambassador, and she can go on and, she's worked retail her whole life, and she's been our sales gal at Crooked Lake House for, geez, it's got to be 15 years. She's been with us over 15 years doing that stuff. Took her out of the daycare business, out of our home when I was in the insurance business, and she went into the Old Daily, and she learned a whole new craft then. That was a whole new craft for her to learn. She was like the Clinique counter manager at Macy's for years and always worked in that retail and shopping. So you can understand why she's known as being a shopaholic. So rein that in. Got to have some boundaries with that one. So this is how she's going to do it. She's going to kind of feed that shopping nature of hers with kind of expressing it and showing you why she feels so passionately about certain things. And hopefully you'll take a look at that if you're doing that, because everything is kind of online now anyway. So, and she's got a beautiful personality and a beautiful way about her. And that's why everybody loves her at Crooked Lake when they come to take the tours. That's who you'd meet with, my wife Jan, if you come to the Crooked Lake house. So, and so I'm very proud of her, very happy for her. So I hope you support her in that and give her some loving. All right. So space is a great one. This one is extremely important in your life. It's a practice that pays huge dividends, huge dividends. When I talk about space, I mean the room you need to give yourself between your thoughts and your spoken word, as well as the space you need to give yourself between the seemingly negative occurrence and your reaction to it. And your reaction to it. Just going to come out like your old slinging guns if it's just your normal reactionary self. So, how well does that serve you? Reaction is one of those things that you use kind of like, hey, there's my boundaries. Hey, I'm going to react like this, and this is going to be, when you find that you can have boundaries, then you don't have to be reactive to necessarily get them. I mean, there may be some times like that, but if you got yourself, it's more of a you got the river, and you know how to express yourself truthfully without having to be the hammer, without having to be the hammer. I always said that about my mom. She was like the hammer in a velvet glove. She told you the truth of what you needed to hear, but she was able to say it in such a tone where it's like, oh, thanks. I thought you were going to yell at me for that, but you gave me a good lesson. I don't want to do it anymore after you said it that way. Now I'd feel terrible if I did it again that way. You expressed it as to why it isn't really you, why it isn't really you. And that's why you shouldn't really do it. You're better than that. You're way bigger than that, and you're way better than that. And that was always the great explanation to me. You don't need to do that. You're smarter than that. You really, come on, what are you doing? Like when we had squirt guns at senior year in high school, when we were squirting people, it got brought to the office. Yeah, I was working at, I think I told this one. I was working at Highgate Manor Nursing Home, and they had these syringes to feed some of the residents the pureed food, and they made great super soaker squirt guns. So I brought them to school one day with me and my buddies, Mikey Rule, if you're watching, and Richie Thompson. And we were squirting some friends while we were in study hall. We were going around like ninjas. And then we got snagged by Gino Thornton, who was the custodian, everybody's buddy, everybody's friend. He comes around the corner with the vice principal as my buddy is squirting it up into the vent of one of our friends' lockers. It was not good. Not our proudest moment. So we got brought to the principal, Mr. Swanek, greatest principal ever. Later, we had him at a reunion. We invited him to our reunion party, and he came. But we get brought into Mr. Swanek's office, and the three of us are sitting there, and we're seniors in high school doing this. And Mr. Swanek goes, all right, what the hell are you three doing in my office? You're seniors, for God's sake, and you're squirting people with squirt guns? He says, do you know that your friend that you were squirting in typewriting class is on an electric typewriter, and he could have been electrocuted? And we're like, wow, we never thought of it that way, Mr. Swanek. And so all of a sudden, my buddy Mike Rule, to my right, he pulls out an Eddie Haskell I've never heard before. He goes, Mr. Swanek, and he looks at the both of us. He said, Mr. Swanek, I think I can speak for all of us here today when I say we will be burning the midnight oil with our studies. From here forward, there'll be no more of this nonsense from us. This is what he says. And Rich Thompson and I look over at him in wonderment going, oh, this is hysterical. And Mr. Swanek goes, all right, Rule, enough of the bullshit. I have to call all your parents. I got to suspend you for the day. And so, get out of my office and never let this happen again. I never want to see you guys in any other place but graduation from here. And he was a tall principal. He was like, walk softly, but carry a big stick. The greatest guy. And so, like I said, later we had this big kind of reunion party at my partner Jimmy's house, and a lot of the class of '82. And I called his daughter. I knew my partner Gene knew his daughter, and said, "Can you get Bob's number? We want to invite him to a class reunion." And she goes, "Oh, I think he would love that." And so I called him up, and I said, "Mr. Swanek, Marty Carey, class of '82." He goes, "Martin, how are you?" And I said, "Oh, terrific. You want to come to a party? We're having a party from the class of '82. We would love to have you as a guest of honor." And he goes, "What's the date?" And he goes, "Let me get my calendar out. I'll mark it right down." No hesitation whatsoever. came to the party. And it was a big surprise. It's like, had all the gang there. And then all of a sudden I go, okay, Mr. Swanek, come on in. Swanek walks right through the crowd and everybody's going, holy shit, is that Mr. Swanek? And he had the best time. He says, what do you got to drink? Of a Coors Light. Right in with the mix. And that's just how we had a great class, man, where everybody was friends in our class. It was just stupendous. It wasn't a big class. I don't know how many we had at the end of it, but all the bunch of great people that I love so much. And we had just great experience, but antics you could never get away with anymore. Good Lord. Good Lord. We had some fun. But space, you talk about a good space. That was a good space. That was a really good space. All right. So if we give ourselves a few more seconds before we speak out our latest thoughts, we can take these precious seconds to remember to choose to speak from our higher voice instead of the ever-present ego, our conditioned self, just our regular reactions without even thinking about them. They just shoot them out like a gunslinger without ever seeking to improve them. You know, you're always honing yourself. You should always be like just little tinkers here and there, little tinkers, little changes, little movements, little, self corrections. It's all your work. It's all your work. And every time you do it, moving closer to the heart, the work you do to move closer to the heart is just working in remembrance. And you work in your own remembrance. New things come to you, new opportunities come to you, new people in your life come to you, and new experiences that you've been yearning for come to you. So it's about chugging some of your energy out into life so that it comes back to you, chugging the good stuff out into life, and it will come back to you. Living it, generating it, bringing out great thoughts, words, and deeds, and it must come back to you. And it takes some time for the wheel to turn around. Give yourself the time and patience, and you'll just start seeing it in the most tiniest of ways and the most meaningful things. And it will just continue to pull you. Follow that pull. Follow that pull. The pull of the world will just keep pulling you down the toilet. It'll just keep pulling you down. Speaking of which, toilet. Speaking of which, the toilet. One of my Troy buddies said to me, he goes, hey, I got your book. He goes, yeah, I do really like your book. He goes, I keep it in the toilet. He goes, the one my wife makes me go to. He goes, it's in there. And I go, you keep it in there? He goes, that's a great shitter book. I go, you are unbelievable. He goes, and if I feel like you're picking on me for some reason, like I'm reading something and I feel like you're just talking just about me. He goes, sometime I'm just going to rip that out. And if I'm out of toilet paper, I'm going to use that page. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. And that's life in Troy. That's Troy grit. But it's just true comedy. And that is really truth. I think the greatest thing about living in Troy is like, you're just going to be told the truth. Very raw and blatant and right in your face. So your kindness has to be a certain depth to understand that everybody's just coming from their own self and their own conditioning. So find that good stuff. Find that good stuff in them and mine for it. Go right after it, and you'll bring it right out of people. And that's where you want to be. That's where you're going to be in the great space. Bring the space that you want to be. Bring it. Bring it. Okay. Plug other people into that higher energy of themselves. Remind them of it. I always like to remind people of the stupid shit they did in the 80s. My friend go, how do you remember that? I go, I think I was the only one not drunk enough to remember everything you ass nuts did. Jeez, I lost my page. So, and that's really what it is. I'm like the official rememberer for the gang. It's like, I remember what you did in 85. All right. Come on, you. Where the hell did it go? All right. So that spaciousness within you is something that we cultivate, and it's something that we kind of, we basically just slough off old sandbags and of grudges and old hurts and old wounds. You're like, how do you do that though? I never forget that stuff, and I'll never forgive them, and I'll always hold on to that. Yeah, but at your own expense, we hold on to them. We certainly hold on to the heaviness of them. You're not going to forget them necessarily, but you hold on to the heaviness of it, and you keep giving it power and keep bringing it up. So that's why I say, leave that out of it. If it's going to keep bringing you back to those old places, you've got to just start letting it go. And so after a while, it just loses its thirst because you're on to other things. You're replacing those old things with good things. So why would you bring back up the old shows of woe? No need to do that at all. No need to, but we do it all the time. Our ego almost demands being fed pain in order to keep its relevance inside of us. So it has no real relevance other than to bounce off of it and realize that you're the light and to act in accordance with that pull inside of you, that different one. It's a more subtle voice inside. Your heart is a more subtle place. It's a softer place. So it's like, I can't quite hear you. What did you say? It's a noisy world out here. Everybody's trying to catch my attention. What did you say? So unless you give yourself that time to tune in, you're just going to be, hearing the honking horns of New York City outside you all the time, in TV and voice and your phone and conversation and constant noise. Can't hear the subtle voice in constant noise. You cannot. But once you've tuned into it for a while, that subtle voice just becomes the strongest one in you. And the other one is the noise that you understand as noise. And it's, you annoy yourself with it. So you don't let it out anymore. It's like, no, why would I do that? My God, I would not do that anymore. Right? You just clip old stuff off. It's like getting a good haircut. So when it comes to giving space between an outer seeming negative occurrence, it's an absolute must. When we learn to respond mindfully instead of react or overreact, we give ourselves the gift of calm problem solving or faster acceptance of what is. I mean, we're always going to have to, if something is there, accept it. And instead of going to panic mode or into fear mode, saying, okay, let's go. We can shift quicker than we've ever shifted before into solving. I'm not spending time in languishing in the problem. I'm moving right into solving, moving around, moving away from, figuring out the energy of it, right? What is it? What does it require of me? If it requires nothing of me, if it requires something of me, I got to bring my best to it. So I know I got to do that anyway. Even if I fall off, I'm going to have to come back around and bring my best self back to it to repair some of the shit I did in overreaction, right? So take the shortcut back to your true self. And the more you do that, the quicker your response time is. And responding could just be like, it's okay, guys, settle down. Here's what we're going to do. Different voice than, oh my God, everybody, quick, come around. It's a 3-alarm energy. So it's like being a fireman, like my buddy. They just go right into it. It's like they've trained so well that they're not going in there going, oh my God, what are we going to do? And their hoses are going all over the place. No, they've been trained just like you train yourself to go into calm confidence land. And you do a lot better. So even if there's some reaction in there, it's going to be about half as if you've been practicing a while. And then it's going to be down to, a reasonable rate anyway. And the best it can be in this world, best it can be with what they're shoving down our throats every day. So that's the better you get. You don't compete with other people to be better than them. You compete with that self to go, no, you're wrong. And I will be better than that. I will be. That's the growth. It's like, that's this part of the rocks that you're smoothing off the sharp edges from and becoming more your heart space, because you realize the futility of the ego. It's just going to keep going around and around and around. Like I said, like Groundhog Day of negativity. You keep investing your time in that. It's where you're going to live. It's where you're going to live. And where's your power in that? Everybody lives there. Most people live there. Where do you want to live in here? Want to be spacious land, or you want to be cluttered with what everybody else is telling you is important, when the most important things are right in front of you in your own life? And you concentrate on those, and you concentrate on raising that and being an example for that in your life and bringing the best that you get in from here to that. It's a different life. It is just a different life, one that you deserve, one you deserve to give to yourself. One you deserve to give to yourself, because that's who has to give it to you, yourself. Okay. So you see, space is the invisible power that is here to help us create a beautiful, harmonious life. When we remember to give space throughout our thought life, we make much higher choices that deliver so much more joy, happiness, and fulfillment to ourselves and those around us. You have this power. You only need to choose it every day. We're choice makers, right? Continuous choice makers. Fall off, get back on the good choice. Fall off, learn a lesson, get back onto the good choice train, the truth train, we always call it. Silence will help you find this calm, confident self within you. It's there and it takes a little bit of time to find it, but it's yours for the asking because it's already you. You know, everybody says, you're going to find yourself. It was this big 70s thing. I'm going to find myself. I'm going over to, you know, one of Tibet. I'm going to the mountains of Tibet to find myself. Well, you find yourself just by sitting quietly and calmly every day for some period of time to give that to yourself as a gift. It will feel like a torture to your ego when you first start it. Silence will feel like torture for your ego because it's like, let's go, let's do something. This is boring. There's nothing here. Yeah, there is something there. The one that you went to Tibet to find. It's right there. And in time, you show up. You don't want any of the nonsense anymore. And you learn that the calm, the peace within, is the gold you seek. Because in there, you've opened up the faucet to everything that you'll ever need. You know, everything that you'll ever need, and all those things you thought you needed, you will not need them anymore. They will have been old wants that you go, well, what do I need that for? Right? A lot of that. You get back to simplicity. Simplicity. Simple soul. Simple soul. Simple solary. Solary. The sun. That sun inside of you. CTA, today, remember to give yourself and others the gift of space. And we all need some space. So, you know, if you feel that in somebody that they need the space, give them the space. Okay. Space that we give to ourselves is not for nothing. It's for growth. It's for personal growth and our personal relationship with all that is, because we're a part of all that is. We're a cup of the great ocean. And moving back into the heart is moving back into that knowing, and that knowing will become stronger. And as you walk in it, you walk back and you're walking in your truest self. And that just expands all the way back home. All the way back home. Because you've decided to walk with, guess what? Your God self, the connected self, not the 3D version that you used to play. All right? So walk in your love. Be love now. Now, in all your nows. Be your love best you can. Watch what happens to your life. All right, guys, much love and light, and we shall see you tomorrow.